Welcome to the video tutorial for Stormy Weather, the 10th pattern in the Stardust Melodies Crochet Along series and our 5th ebook exclusive pattern. I'm Polly and I'll be your host. If you'd like more information about the Crochet Along, please visit everytrickonthehook.com or Every Trick on the Hook on Facebook. For this video, I'll be using Aran weight yarn and a 5.5mm crochet hook. Let's get started. To begin, we'll make a double magic circle by taking our working yarn and wrapping it around our fingers twice. After that, insert your hook into the circles and pull your working yarn through. Then hold your circles tight and pull the working yarn until it's nice and snug around your hook. Then you can get your yarn ready. Hold your circles and chain one. After that, you can make your round one stitches as normal. So, round one starts with a single crochet into the magic circle and chain two. And we do that a total of 4 times. So that was once, and now another single crochet, chain two is twice, single crochet, chain two, that's 3 times, and single crochet, chain two is 4 times. Now we can close our magic circle. To close a double magic circle, find your yarn end, and first thing you do is untwist it so that it comes out from up here nice and straight without being twisted around your circles. Then pull on it just a little bit until you see one of the loops start to close. See how that loop right there got smaller? Now pinch that loop at the top and pull the smaller loop until the larger loop closes. Once the other loop is nice and closed, you can go back to your yarn end and pull on it until both loops are nice and secure. Now we can finish up round one by making a slip stitch into the top 2 loops of that very first single crochet we made. Right there, into both loops. Slip stitch. Pull that nice and tight to make it small, and that is round one. To make round 2, we'll start by chaining 1 to bring our yarn up to the height of our new stitches, and the very first stitch we're going to make is a single crochet in the back loop only of the very first stitch. The first stitch is the one that we slip stitched to close round 1. So this stitch right here that has the slip stitch in it already, under just the back loop, insert your hook, pull up a loop, and make your single crochet. After that, you're at your chain 2 space. Into the chain 2 space, we're going to make a corner. We're going to make a corner by making a single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet. All of the corners in this pattern are going to be made that way. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Now you're at your next single crochet. So into this round 1 single crochet, make a single crochet into the back loop only. So just under the back loop, single crochet. We're going to do this all the way around. So now we're at our next chain 2 space, make another corner, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet, all in that chain 2 space. Into the next stitch, this round 1 single crochet under the back loop only, make another single crochet. We're at our next chain 2 space, so make another corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet again. All right, here's the last single crochet from round 1, under the back loop only, single crochet. And the last chain 2 space, another corner, so single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. Now you've come all the way around and we're back at the beginning, so slip stitch to both loops of that very first single crochet to join. If you have a hard time finding the very first stitch when you need to make your slip stitch, I recommend at the beginning of every round put a stitch marker into the top 2 loops of that stitch and you can find it much more easily. So here I would take my stitch marker out, and then as I move on to round 3, when I make my first round 3 stitch, I'll put my stitch marker into that stitch, and then when I finish round 3, I'll know exactly where it goes, and then I can do that for every round. That's my recommendation if you have a hard time finding which 2 loops are supposed to be the 2 loops of your first stitch, because you don't want to work into the chain 1 or into the slip stitch, so that can help you pick it out later. So after you've slip stitched to your first stitch, pull it nice and tight, and that is round 2. Now for round 3, pay close attention because this round is one we're going to repeat again later. You can always use the link in the comments to come back and rewatch it if you want, but it is very simple to make, so just pay attention. It's just a basic round of single crochet, but we're going to do them all in the back loop only. So to start, chain 1, just to bring us up to the height of our stitches, and into the very first stitch under the back loop only, make a single crochet. Now what I want you to do is single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across to the next corner. In the case of round 3, there's only one more stitch to make into the back loop only, single crochet, and we're already at our corner. Now we're going to repeat this round, so in future rounds there will be more stitches here for you to repeat because the rounds will be bigger, but for round 3 there's just that one stitch. Okay. So we single crocheted in the back loop only of each stitch across to the corner. We're at our corner, so we'll make our normal single crochet and chain 2 and another single crochet for our corner. Now single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across to the next corner. So again, in round 3 there's just 1, 2, 3 stitches that you're going to have to make before you get to the next corner. But on repeats of this round there will be more. So just single crochet in each stitch, no matter how many that is. 1 in the back loop only, 2, 3, all the way across to the next corner. Okay, and in the next corner make that as usual. Single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. And do that all the way around. Single crochet in each back loop only of each stitch across to the next corner. And in the corner, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. Single crochet in each stitch in the back loop only across to the next corner. And then in the corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Okay, now you're back to the side that you started with. So single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across to the first stitch. In the case of round 3, there is just one stitch in the back loop only, single crochet. There's just that one stitch to make before we're at the first stitch. But again, in future repeats, there's going to be more here. So just make as many as you need to make. Then slip stitch to both loops of that very first stitch to join. Slip stitch to join. Pull the slip stitch tight, and that is round 3. What I want you to do now is go ahead and make round 4 exactly the same way. So just repeat round 3 for round 4, and then I will show you how to do round 5. For round 5, I'm going to begin by chaining 1, and the very first stitch that we're going to do is a treble. And we're going to make that treble into the front loop only of the stitch that's 3 rounds below our first stitch. So normally we'd work right into this first stitch right here, but we're going to work into the stitch 3 rounds below, and to do that we're going to count these horizontal bars downwards. So this horizontal bar is 1 round below, this one is 2 rounds below, and this one is 3 rounds below. This 3 rounds below happens to be the round 1 stitch. So it's actually pretty easy to find because there's only 1 stitch on each side of round 1. So on the future sides I won't have to look quite so hard. I know that it's this round 1 stitch into that front loop only is where I'm going to make my treble. So I've yarned over twice. I'll insert my hook under the front loop only of that round 1 stitch and pull up a loop, and then I'll make my treble. After that, I'm going to single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. Now I'm not going to work another stitch into the stitch that's behind this treble. That one counts as worked because the treble is in front of it. So into the next 3 stitches, I'm going to make single crochets into the back loop only. That will bring me right to my corner. Into the corner, I'll make my normal single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet. Now on this side, I'll start by single crocheting in the back loop only of the first 3 stitches. That will put me right at the middle where I can make my next treble into the front loop only of the stitch 3 rounds below. I already figured out that's the round 1 stitch, so I don't need to look quite as hard. So under the front loop only of the round 1 stitch, if you need to bend your work, go ahead and bend your work, whatever you need to do to make your hook fit under there, and then make my treble. Then again, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. Then I'm at my next corner. I'll single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet again. Now I'll work that way again on this side. Go ahead and repeat that. So here's what we did. We made our corner, 3 single crochets in the back loop only, then we made our treble in the front loop only of the stitch 3 rounds below the next stitch, which happened to be the round 1 stitch. So in the front loop only a treble, and then we did 3 single crochets in the back loop only. Now you can go ahead and do that again on the next 2 sides, and I'll show you how to finish up that side we began with. So we've made our stitches all the way around for round 5, and I'm going to show you how to finish up this very first side of round 5. We just have this one corner left, so I'll make my usual single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in the chain 2 space. And now all I need to do is single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. Oops, that one got a little caught. 3, there we go. Now I'm going to make sure I don't work into my slip stitch or my chain that I started with. I'm just going to ignore those for now. And I'm going to slip stitch into the top 2 loops of the treble. Slip stitch and then pull that nice and tight. And that is round 5. Now for round 6. Round 6 is where things get crazy. Are you ready? Our very first stitch is going to be a doozy. So the first thing we're going to do is chain 1 to bring us up to the height of our stitches. But I'm going to take my hook out for a moment because we're going to do some counting. Our very first stitch is going to be a double crochet 6 together. So that's 6 double crochets all made together as one stitch. And we are going to place each leg of that double crochet 6 together into a different place. And we're going to make this really cool sort of fan looking piece. It's going to be nice and poofy and stringy. It's going to have a really cool texture. But to do that, let's do some preparation, and we're going to count some stitches here. So we always start with our first stitch or the next stitch, whatever we're on. The very first stitch is where we are right now. So let's go ahead and look at how we're going to place all of these legs so you get an idea of what we're doing before we do it. So the very first leg is going to go in the front loop only of the stitch that's 1 round below and 3 stitches behind. So 1 round below is this horizontal bar right here. And we're going to count 3 stitches behind. You can kind of see that the horizontal bars are segmented, and that's how you count your stitches. So here's 1 stitch behind. This is my current stitch, so I went 1 down, 1 stitch behind. Be careful not to count your slip stitch. That's what those little bumps are right there. Don't worry about them. Here's 1 stitch behind, 2 stitches behind, and 3 stitches behind is this very first stitch of the previous round. So that's where our first leg is going to go. The second leg is going to go in the front loop only, 2 rounds below and 2 stitches behind. Okay, so let's count again. Here's my very first stitch. Here's 1 round below, and here's 2 rounds below. The first stitch aligns with this treble, so I'll count 1 stitch behind and 2 stitches behind. Happens to be the very first stitch of this round, 2 rounds below. So my first leg went here, my second went here. I'm guessing you can probably pick out where the third one's going to go without me even telling you, huh? Okay, the third one is going to go 3 rounds below and 1 stitch behind, which is going to be the very first stitch of this one. So we sort of just did the first stitch of each round, 1, 2, and 3. So this was 1 round below, 2 rounds below, and 3 rounds below, and 1 stitch behind. So here's the current stitch, and here's 1 stitch behind. So our first 3 legs are going to go 1, 2, 3, just like that, those first 3 stitches of those rounds. Then our fourth leg is going to go 3 rounds below and 1 stitch ahead. So here's our current stitch. Here's 1 round below, 2 rounds below, 3 rounds below, and 1 stitch ahead is this one right here. Here's the current stitch. Here's 1 stitch ahead. Then the fifth leg is going to go 2 rounds below and 2 stitches ahead. So 1 round below, 2 rounds below, and then here's 1 stitch ahead and 2 stitches ahead. So you see it's sort of the last stitches of the side of each round. Then our sixth leg is going to go 1 round below and 3 stitches ahead. So 1 round below is this one right here, and then 1, 2, 3 stitches ahead. So for round 6, the double crochet 6 together is actually pretty easy to do because it just goes 1, 2, 3, the first stitch of the side, and then 1, 2, 3, the last stitch of the side. Now I'll go ahead and make one to show you how it looks to actually make one. Okay, so a double crochet 6 together. First thing we do is we yarn over once, just like we're making a double crochet, and we insert our hook into the very first indicated stitch, which is this one right here. We already counted out the legs, so I won't do that again. I'll just make it into that stitch and then pull up a loop as though I were going to make a double crochet. Now what I need to do is see how far away it is. It's already pulling on my work. If you make your double crochets normal double crochet length, they're going to pull on your square and make your square they're going to make your square misshapen. They're going to pull on it and make your tension all weird, and it's going to be all poofy and wonky and just not good. So once you've gotten this far, you've pulled up the loop, you're going to, I like to pinch my work right at the stitch where I pulled the loop up from, right at that front loop. Pinch my work and then pull the yarn up just a little bit. It only needs to come up about maybe 1.5 centimeters. You don't have to pull it all the way up to the height of your work like you normally would for, say, a spike stitch. Just pull it up a little. Okay, now we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops on our hook for the first part of our double crochet 6 together. So that's the first leg. Now the second leg, yarn over once and insert your hook into the next indicated stitch and then pull up a loop. Again, we're going to pull the loop up just a little bit, maybe 1.5 centimeters, then yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and that's leg 2. Now for leg 3, yarn over once, insert your hook under that third indicated stitch and pull up a loop. Then pull that up about 1.5 centimeters again, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook. Might be closer to 2 centimeters, I don't know. It's a little bit of an intuitive thing. You kind of have to feel it out and see where each leg is about comfortable, because the lower ones are a little bit further than the top ones. So go ahead and feel it out. You don't want them too big because then they'll be extra poofy and they'll catch on things, but you don't want them too small either because then they'll pull on your work. So this is a bit of an artistic thing, but I think you can get it. So let's do leg 4, yarn over once, insert your hook under the next indicated stitch, pull up a loop, and then pull that up, about 2.5 centimeters. I think this one's significantly longer than the first ones. Then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, 5th leg, under the next stitch, so I yarn over once, and then under the front loop only of the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull that up a little bit, not quite as much as the last one, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Yarn over again, under the last indicated stitch, pull up a loop, and then pull that just a little bit, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So you've done all 6 legs. You should have 7 loops on your hook. You can yarn over and pull through all 7 loops on your hook. And that is your double crochet 6 together. Isn't that a cool texture? After you've done that, now you can single crochet in the back loop only of the next 4 stitches. You might need to bend that down a little bit, make sure you're not working into your first stitch, but you're working into the back loop only of the next stitch. 4 single crochets in the back loop only should bring you right to your corner. Okay, so in the corner, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, in the corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet as usual. And now we will do that again. We'll do that all the way around so you can see it a few times. First thing we need to do is single crochet in the back loop only of the next 4 stitches. Okay, now we'll do our double crochet 6 together, and we already did our counting, so we know where the stitches go. This one's actually going to be a lot easier to place. We don't need to count it out. We know that it's going to go in, here's 1 round below, it's going to go in the very first stitch of this round, and this round, and then the very last stitch, this round, and this round. So it's easier really to just sort of pick out the holes that are your corners and work in the first stitch after them, or over here, the first stitch before the corner. Okay, I'll show you again. Double crochet 6 together. Ready? Yarn over once and insert your hook into the first indicated stitch under the front loop only of that stitch, and then pull up a loop. Pull that loop up just a little bit, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. That's leg 1. Yarn over, insert your hook under the second indicated stitch, pull up a loop. Pull that loop up a little bit so it's extended, it's a little bit longer. Yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. If you've ever done a spike stitch, this is a lot like a spike stitch, where you're just pulling those strands of yarn up, except where you're doing double crochets. Now yarn over again for our 3rd leg, insert your hook under the front loop only of the 3rd indicated stitch, and pull up a loop, and then pull that one up a bit more than the last one. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Yarn over again, insert your hook under the front loop only of the 4th indicated stitch, which is the last stitch of the side. So now we're on the other side of the treble. Pull up a loop, yarn, and then pull your loop up a little bit, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Yarn over, insert your hook under the next indicated stitch, pull up a loop, and pull that up to height, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Yarn over one more time under the last indicated stitch, pull up a loop, and then pull that a little bit tall, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook. That's all 6 legs. I have 7 loops on my hook. Yep, okay, yarn over and pull through all 7 loops. And there is my double crochet 6 together. Now I can single crochet in the back loop only of the last 4 stitches of the side. I can fold this down and see there's the stitch behind my double crochet 6 together. That's not the one I want to work into. The next one after that. Get my yarn in the right spot. There we go. Single crochet, 2, 3, and that was 4 single crochets in the back loop only. So you can see once I moved on, my stitch does get a little bit puffy. That's because these strands were a little bit extra long. So that's okay though, that's where our texture comes from. The strands are a little bit long, so it makes my stitch a little bit puffy. Okay, then I'm at my next corner. I'll make that. Oh, I did a really bad job on that stitch. Hold on. Let me make that corner again. Okay. So let's take another look at this stitch, but at this point what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you by using another color so that hopefully you can see a little bit better. So I'm just going to make that loop long so that I can come back to it later, but I've got another color of yarn here. And I'm going to use this color, which is lighter, and hopefully the contrast will make it easier for you to see. So if you're having trouble with it, I hope this helps. I'm just going to make a couple single crochets, just sort of arbitrarily. They don't really mean anything right now. They're just sort of anchoring my yarn down for the moment. Okay, so I'm at the point where I'm going to make my double crochet 6 together. So I'm going to make these into, here are my stitches. You can count them again. Go ahead and look at the written pattern if you need to count them again. But they're the first stitch of this round, the first stitch of this side of this round, I mean, and the first stitch of this side of this round. So 1, 2, 3, and then over here I'm going to make 4, 5, and 6. So let's try this out. Let's see if it makes it a little bit easier. So leg 1, yarn over once, insert my hook under that first indicated stitch, so 1 round below and 3 stitches behind, under that indicated stitch, and pull up a loop. Now I'm going to pull this loop up just a little bit, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. That's leg 1. So leg 2, yarn over, insert my hook under the stitch 2 rounds below and 2 stitches behind, under the front loop only, and pull up a loop. I'm going to pull that up just a little bit and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Then I'm going to yarn over for my third leg, insert my hook, this is 3 rounds below and 1 stitch behind, under the front loop only, pull up a loop, and pull that up. A little bit more than the last 2, then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. There's my first 3 legs. Now, leg 4, yarn over. This is 3 rounds below and 1 stitch ahead, under the front loop only, pull up a loop, pull that up a little bit, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now my 5th leg goes 2 rounds below, 2 stitches ahead, yarn over once, so under that front loop only, and pull up a loop, then pull it up a little bit, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Last leg, yarn over. This is 1 round below, 3 stitches ahead, under the front loop only, pull up a loop, and then pull that up a little bit, then yarn over, pull through 2 loops. That's all 6 of my legs of my stitch. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 7 loops that are on my hook. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yarn over, pull through all 7 loops. Try not to catch extra threads. There we go. Okay. And that is the double crochet 6 together. So hopefully that way in another color you can see it a little bit better. Each leg made into the first stitch of these 3 rounds and the last stitch of those 3 rounds. So go ahead and do that on these next 2 sides, and I'll show you how to finish up that very first side. Once you've done the next 2 sides of round 6, to finish up all you need to do is make that last corner, single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet in that chain 2 space as always, and then you just need to single crochet in the back loop only of those last 4 stitches. So back loop only, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you can slip stitch to the top of your very first double crochet 6 together. So the very top of that, under both loops, slip stitch and pull that nice and tight, and that is round 6. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and make round 7 as a repeat of round 3, and then make round 8 another repeat of round 3. So just 2 rounds of basic single crochet in the back loop only. So 7 and 8 are both repeats of round 3, and I will see you back here for round 9. Before we begin round 9, you should have already completed round 7 and round 8, both as repeats of round 3. Now for round 9, we'll start with a chain 1, and we're going to single crochet in the back loop only of the first 4 stitches. So single crochet in the back loop only of that very first stitch, and that's 1, and then 2, 3, and 4. Next, we'll treble in the front loop only of the stitch that's 3 rounds below the next stitch. So here's our next stitch. This bar right here is 1 round below, 2 rounds below, and 3 rounds below is that stitch right there. So make my treble into that stitch under the front loop only and a treble. After that, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3 should bring you right to your corner. Make your standard corner in the chain 2 space with a single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet. Now let's look at a full side. To do a full side of round 9, we will single crochet in the back loop only of the first 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3 in the back loop only. After that, we'll treble in the front loop only of the stitch that's 3 rounds below the next stitch. So here's my next stitch. I'm looking 1 round below, 2 rounds below, 3 rounds below is that one right there. So under the front loop only, pull up a loop and make my treble. Next, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. Back loop only. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then treble in the front loop only of the stitch 3 rounds below the next stitch. So yarn over twice for my treble. Here's my next stitch. Here's 1 round below. Here's 2 rounds below. And this is 3 rounds below. So under that front loop only, pull up my loop and make my treble. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the last 3 stitches of the side. Then I'm at my corner, so I'll make my normal corner. Okay, here's what we did. This is a full side of round 9. First thing we did was our corner, then we single crocheted in the back loop only of the first 3 stitches. Then we trebled in the front loop only of the stitch 3 rounds below the next stitch. Then we single crocheted in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. Then we trebled again in the front loop only of the stitch 3 rounds below the next stitch. Then we single crocheted in the back loop only of the last 3 stitches of the side. That is a full side of round 9, so go ahead and do that again on this side, and I'll show you how to finish up the last side. To finish the last side of round 9, I'll make my last corner, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in the corner chain 2 space. Now all I need to do is single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3, and treble in the front loop only of the stitch 3 rounds below my next stitch. So here's my next stitch, here's 1 round below, 2, and 3 rounds below. Under that front loop only, pull up a loop and make my treble. There we go. Finally, I need to single crochet in the back loop only of the last 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3, and then I can slip stitch to both loops of the very first single crochet to join. Pull that nice and snug, and there is my round 9. In round 10, we'll be making more double crochet 6 together stitches. But in this time, I'm going to show you how to make them, but I'm not going to focus as much on how to make the stitch. I'm going to focus more on how to place the stitch in this round. If you need a reminder on how to make the stitch, if you want to watch me and listen to me explain it a little bit more, go back to round 6 when I was able to detail it a little bit more. In this round, I'm going to show you more about how to place it because it is a little bit more difficult in round 10 to place these stitches. Okay, the first thing we're going to do, as always, chain 1 to begin, and we're going to single crochet in the back loop only of the first 4 stitches. Back loop only, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The very next stitch should be the treble from round 9. All of our double crochet 6 togethers are going to go over a treble. The treble sort of works as an anchor so we know exactly where we're at. It also helps us count our stitches. So let me show you how to do that. Okay, for each of them, if you remember in round 6, these double crochet 6 togethers all went into the first and last stitch of the side of the lower rounds, and that made it really easy to place. Well, on these ones, half of the stitches are going to go in the last or first side, but see, these ones are going to go in the last ones, and then on this side they're going to go in the first ones, but the ones in the middle you're going to need to count. So let's take a look at it. You can always count from the very next stitch. So the next stitch is always going to be the treble. That's where you'll count from. The very first leg goes 1 round below, so that's this horizontal bar here, and 3 stitches behind. The treble goes right in front of the stitch that you start counting from, so you can count that as 0, and then 1 stitch behind would be this one, 2, and 3. So 1 round below, 3 stitches behind is where you put your first leg. The second leg goes 2 rounds below and 2 stitches behind. So 1 round below, 2 rounds below, 1 stitch behind, 2 stitches behind. The third leg goes 3 rounds below, so 1, 2, 3 rounds below, and 1 stitch behind. The easiest way to do this is not actually to count from your treble, but to count from where your treble was made. So here's the loop the treble was made into. If I go up in a diagonal line, I go up 1 and behind 1, up 1, behind 1, up 1, behind 1. That line right there is where I'll be placing my stitches. So for me, when I look at the stitch to make it, I just take a look and see this invisible diagonal line that's created by those stitches, and I know that's where I want to place them. Then on the other side, I know that each leg is going to go into a similar invisible diagonal line, but it's a little easier to pick out because it's the last stitch of the side for each of these 3 rounds. So 1, 2, 3. So if you need to, you can go back to the written pattern for a reminder, and then you can count as needed, either from the top of the treble or the bottom of the treble, whatever works for you. But I find that if I just identify the bottom of the treble and then follow that invisible diagonal line up, I have an easier time placing the stitch. That's not to say I didn't make any mistakes the first several times I did this. I definitely placed a few of these incorrectly until I got it down. But usually by the time you've done a few of them, you have it down pretty well and the rest of the square goes okay. So the first 2 or 3 might be a little bit tricky, but after that they definitely get easier. Alright, so let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to look for my diagonal line. Here's the bottom of this stitch. 1, 2, 3. That's where I'm going to start to make my double crochet 6 together. Pull that up a little. Like I said, I'm not going to walk you through the whole stitch this time. And now I can do my diagonal line again. Here's the bottom. 1, 2. Alright, let's look again. Here's the bottom. I just go up 1, goes under that loop. Pull that up a bit. And that's the first half. The second half is so much easier because it's that last stitch on each of these 3 sides. So I can just find the treble went into this one, so this one right here is the next one up. And then the next one up is that one. And then the next one up is this one. And then I can finish my stitch. And that sort of makes it a little bit easier to place my stitches and keep moving along. Now I need to single crochet in the back loop only of the last 4 stitches of the side. In this case, I find it easier just to count backwards. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Last 4 stitches of the side, single crochet in the back loop only. Now I'm at my corner, so single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. Now I can single crochet in the back loop only of the next 4 stitches, and we'll take a look at a full side around 10, 2, 3, 4. Okay, single crochet in the back loop only the first 4 stitches, and that brings me to the next treble from round 9. Now what I need to do is make another double crochet 6 together, but we're on the other side this time, so take my hook out so I can point. So I know the first 3 legs of my double crochet 6 together are going to go into the first stitches of the side here. So if I count up from the bottom of my treble, it's this 1, 2, and 3, or rather leg 1, 2, and 3. After that, I can count from the top of my stitch. I can go 1 down and 3 forward, 2 down and 2 forward, 3 down and 1 forward, or I can just count from the bottom of my stitch in that invisible diagonal line, 1 up and over, 1 up and over, 1 up and over. And that's how I know that I'm right where I should be. That I find is the fastest way for me to do it. So, let's go ahead and make another one of these babies. Okay, so we're going to start off on the first stitches of the side, that 1, 2, and 3. So under the first stitch, and under the front loop only, pull up a loop. Okay, under the next one down, pull up a loop, pull it up. Under the next one down, pull that up a little bit. Okay, now on the hard side, I'm going to go 1 up and over. So here's the bottom of my treble. 1 up and ahead is that one. All right, now 1 up and ahead from that. And then 1 up and ahead from that. Got to be careful that you don't pull on those loops too much. You can get yourself confused and go into the wrong stitch. Sometimes I go 1 straight up because I'm not paying attention because my loop is pulled. So be careful with that. 1 up and ahead. It's that one right there. Okay, 7 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through all 7 loops, and there's my double crochet 6 together. Now I can single crochet in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. This one I definitely need to pull that stitch down so I can see behind me. There's the stitch behind the double crochet, so the next one is that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and if I place them correctly, yes, I did. The next stitch is the treble. So now I can make my next double crochet 6 together, and I'm going to do it exactly the same way as I did my first one. So here's the bottom of my treble. I'm going to count in a diagonal, 1 up and over, 1, 2, 3. That's where my first leg goes, my second leg, and my third leg. Or go back to the written pattern, follow the instructions, count from the top of the treble, 1 down, 3 behind, 2 down, 2 behind, 3 down, 1 behind, and then do the same on this side. Or just again follow that diagonal line. the invisible diagonal up both sides. Okay, let's make our next double crochet 6 together. So yarn over once, and here's my diagonal. There's 1, 2, 3. That's my stitch right there. Under the front loop only of that stitch, pull up a loop, pull it to height. There we go. Then my diagonal, that loop right there is my second leg. Pull that up. If you need to, go ahead back to the beginning of this round when I show you this in more detail. It might be easier to follow along. Okay, now for the other side, just go up, right up these last few stitches, and 1 up and over, and then my last leg, and then through all 7 loops on my hook. And that's my next double crochet 6 together. Now I can single crochet in the back loop only of the last 4 stitches. Back loop only, last 4 stitches. 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now I'm at the corner. I'll make my corner and then we'll take a look at our side again. Okay. So here's what we did. We made our corner and then we made 4 single crochets in the back loop only of those first 4 stitches of the side. Then we made a double crochet 6 together according to the instructions in the special stitches. So our first leg went 1 round below, 3 stitches behind. Second leg went 2 rounds below, 2 stitches behind. Third leg went 3 rounds below, 1 stitch behind, and that went in the first stitch of those 3 rounds below us. So 1, 2, and 3. Those are really easy to pick out. Then these ones went, the fourth leg went 3 rounds below, 1 stitch ahead. The fifth leg went 2 rounds below, 2 stitches ahead. And the fourth leg went 1 round below, 3 stitches ahead. Or we counted up from the bottom of the treble and we followed that invisible diagonal line right up the path of those stitches. After that, we made 7 single crochets in the back loop only. And then we made another double crochet 6 together. We followed the diagonal line from the bottom of the treble, 1 up and over, 1 up and over, 1 up and over, to pick out which 3 stitches the first 3 legs went into. Then we did the same for the next 3 stitches, which happened to be the last stitches of the sides of each round. Then we made 4 single crochets in the back loop only of the last 4 stitches. So that is a full side of round 10. If you need to, watch it over as many times as you need to. Go back to that first one I made and watch me place it again because I was a little more detailed with that one. So if you need to, rewatch as many times as you need for the next few sides, or even go back to round 6 and watch me in more detail make one of these double crochet 6 togethers. So go ahead and do that. Make that again on this side and then on this side, and I'll show you how to wrap up that very last side of round 10. For the last side of round 10, I'll make my last corner in that chain 2 space with a single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet. Next, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 4 stitches. So back loop only, 1, 2, 3, and 4 should bring you to the treble. Once you get to the treble, we're going to make our very last double crochet 6 together, and yes, this is the last one in the whole pattern, so don't worry, you're almost done. Okay, so we're going to place this one similarly to the other sides, where we counted up the side in a diagonal line and up this side in a diagonal line. So my very first stitch, my very first leg of my double crochet is going to go 1 round below and 3 stitches behind. The second leg, 2 rounds below, 2 stitches behind, and the third leg, 3 rounds below and 1 stitch behind, or the very first stitch of these 3 rounds. So my first leg goes under the front loop only of that stitch. There's my first leg. Second leg under this stitch, 2 rounds below, 2 stitches behind. Third leg, 3 rounds below, 1 stitch behind. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3. Make sure if you need a refresher on pulling those loops up, go back to round 6 and check it out. Now, fourth leg goes 3 rounds below, 1 stitch ahead, or I can count from the bottom of my treble up and over 1, up and over 1, up and over 1 for 4, 5, and 6. So 3 rounds below, 1 stitch ahead for my fourth leg. Fifth leg, 2 rounds below, 2 stitches ahead, or just up and over 1 from the last one. And then leg number 6, 1 round below, 3 stitches ahead, or just up and over 1 from the last one. Okay. Pull through all 7 loops on my hook, and that's my last double crochet 6 together. After that, all I need to do is single crochet in the back loop only of the last 3 stitches, and then I can slip stitch to both loops of the very first stitch to join, and that is round 10. And that was not too bad, right? Well, don't worry, every round after this is going to be really simple. So that was round 10. Let's move on. Now for round 11. To begin, we'll chain 1, and the very first stitch we're going to make is a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the first stitch. So 1 round below the first stitch under the front loop only is this front loop right here, and that's where we'll make our double crochet. Next, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 will be made into the double crochet 6 together. 5, 6, and 7. Next, double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. So this is my next stitch, 1 round below. Gets a double crochet, and then single crochet in the back loop only of the last stitch of the side. That should bring you to your corner. Go ahead and make your corner as usual. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and now we'll look at a full side of round 11. We'll start with a single crochet in the back loop only of the very first stitch of the side, just 1. Next, double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. 1 round below that stitch, okay. Single crochet in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll know you're right, or you should be, because 4 will be made into the double crochet 6 together. 5, 6, and 7. Then double crochet again in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Next stitch, 1 round below, under the front loop only, double crochet. And then again, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. So here's my next stitch, 1 round below. Under the front loop only, double crochet. Then single crochet in the back loop only of that last stitch of the side, and you should be at your corner. Make your corner as usual. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. And that is a full side of round 11. So here's what we did. Made our corner, then we single crocheted in the back loop only of the first stitch. Then we double crocheted in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Then 7 single crochets in the back loop only, a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. That should be right in the middle of your square. Then 7 single crochets in the back loop only, then 1 double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below, then one more single crochet in the back loop only and another corner. So that's a full side of round 11. Go ahead and do that again on this side and this side, and I'll show you how to finish up the last side. To finish up this last side of round 11, we'll make our last corner, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in that chain 2 space. Then single crochet in the back loop only of that first stitch of the side. After that, double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch one round below the next stitch. So here's my next stitch, one round below, under the front loop only, make my double crochet. Now all I need to do is single crochet in the back loop only of the last 7 stitches. 1 in the back loop only, 2, 3, 4. Again, I know I'm right on track because number 4 goes into the double crochet 6 together. 5, 6, and 7. And then I slip stitch to both loops of that first double crochet to join, pull that nice and tight, and that is my round 11. For round 12, start by chaining 1 and making a single crochet in the back loop only of the very first stitch. Next, make a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch one round below the next stitch. One round below under the front loop only, double crochet. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. And 5. Then double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch one round below the next stitch. You'll notice that double crochet goes just in front of the double crochet from round 11. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, which is the double crochet from round 11. Then double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch one round below the next stitch. Front loop only, one round below, double crochet. So those 2 double crochets went on either side of the round 11 double crochet. Now single crochet in the back loop only of the last stitch of the side. You should be at your corner, so make your corner single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet again. Okay, now for a full side of round 12, it starts off pretty simply, single crochet in the back loop only of the first stitch. Now we're going to make another double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch one round below the next stitch. Now a single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. That happens to go right into the round 11 double crochet. And then another double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch one round below. So again, we made double crochets on either side of the round 11 double crochet. Now we're going to single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. Four and 5 single crochets in the back loop only. Now we're going to double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch one round below the next stitch. So here's my next stitch, one round below, under the front loop only, double crochet. Single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, which happens to be the round 11 double crochet. Then double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch one round below the next stitch. Here's my next stitch, one round below, under the front loop only, double crochet. Again, we made double crochets on either side of the round 11 double crochet. Now single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now I bet you can guess what we're going to do. Double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch one round below the next stitch. Front loop only. And then single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. And then double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch one round below the next stitch. Then single crochet in the back loop only of that last stitch of the side. and you should be at your corner. So single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the corner. Okay, let's take a look. So full side of round 12, we did a corner, then we did a single crochet in the back loop only of the first stitch. Then we double crocheted in the front loop only of the stitch, one round below the next stitch. Then we did a single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch and a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch one round below the next stitch. So single, double, and those doubles sort of flank the round 11 double. You notice they all do that. There's a double on either side of each round 11 double. Okay, so then we did 5 single crochet in the back loop only, a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch one round below, a single crochet in the back loop only of this round 11 double, and then a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch one round below. So again, doubles on either side of the round 11 double. Then we did 5 single crochets in the back loop only, and we did the same thing over here, a double on either side of the round 11 double. So a double in the front loop only of the stitch one round below, single crochet in the back loop only of that round 11 double, and then a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch one round below, and then we finished up with a single crochet in the back loop only of that very last stitch. That's a full side of round 12. Go ahead and do that on this side and this side. I'll catch up with you over here for this last side of round 12. Let's finish up this last side of round 12. We'll make our last corner in the chain 2 space, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet again. Now single crochet in the back loop only of the first stitch, then double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch one round below the next stitch. So next stitch, front loop only of the stitch one round below the next stitch, double crochet, then single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, which should be that round 11 double crochet, then double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch one round below the next stitch. Next, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And your very last stitch is going to be a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch one round below. And then you can slip stitch to both the loops of that very first single crochet to join, pull it nice and tight, and that is round 12. For round 13, we'll start with a chain 1 and a single crochet in the back loop only of the first 2 stitches. So back loop only of that very first stitch, single crochet, and under the next stitch, single crochet, back loop only. Now we're going to make a half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. I'll show you how to make a half treble in case you've never made one before. You yarn over twice, and now let's pick out our front loop only. So here's our next stitch, here's 1 round below, and here's 2 rounds below. You notice the half trebles are going to be very easy to place because they're actually on the same round as the double crochets we made in round 12. They're made into the stitch right next to them, so they're pretty easy to place. So next stitch, 1 round down, 2 rounds down, under the front loop only. Okay, so we yarned over twice to make our half treble. We'll pull up a loop. There should be 4 loops on your hook right now. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. There's 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And that's how you make a half treble. Now, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Now make another half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. So here's the next stitch, 1, 2 rounds below, again on the same level as this double crochet. So under that front loop only, and we'll make a half treble. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, then double crochet, just a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. So next stitch, 1 round below, under the front loop only, make a double crochet, then single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. That should be the last stitch of the side. So then you'll be at your corner, you can make your single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in the corner. Okay, now let's look at a full side of round 13. The very first thing we're going to do is single crochet in the back loop only of the first stitch of the side. Next, we'll double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below. So next stitch, 1 round below under the front loop only, double crochet. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. Now half treble, so yarn over twice for half treble, in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. So here's my next stitch, and then 1 round below and 2 rounds below under that front loop only. Pull up a loop and make a half treble. Next, a single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. Back loop only, 1, 2, 3, and we're actually going to do that across the side. We're going to half treble and then single crochet in the back loop only 3 more times. So half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below, front loop only 2 rounds below, half treble, and then single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. Okay, half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below. Single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. One more time. Half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below. 2 rounds below, front loop only. Make a half treble and then single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. There should just be 2 stitches left on your side. Make a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Here's my next stitch, 1 round below, make a double crochet, and then in that last stitch make a single crochet in the back loop only. That should bring you to your corner, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in the corner. And let's take a look. This is what we did for a full side of round 13. Okay, we made our corner, and then we made a single crochet in the back loop only of the very first stitch of the side. Then we made a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below. Then we made a single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches, and then we made a half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below, then a single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. We did that 4 times total, so half treble and then 3 single crochets 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 brought us to the last 2 stitches of the side, which were a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below and a single crochet in the back loop only of that last stitch of the side. So that's a full side of round 13. Go ahead and repeat that on this side, and then I'll show you how to finish up this last side of round 13. To finish up our last side of round 13, we'll make our last corner in that last chain 2 space, single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet. Now single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. After that, double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Front loop only, double crochet. Single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. and then half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. So 2 rounds below, half treble, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches, then half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. Your very last stitch is a single crochet in the back loop only, and then you can slip stitch to both loops of the first single crochet to join. Pull that nice and snug, and that is round 13. For round 14, start by chaining 1 and making a single crochet in the back loop only of the first 3 stitches. First 3 stitches, single crochet in the back loop only. After that, you're going to make a half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below. So yarn over twice, we'll make a half treble. Here's our next stitch. Here's 1 round below and 2 rounds below. So it's just on the other side of the round 13 half treble. Just on the other side of the round 13 half treble, we'll make another half treble. Next, single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, just 1, and then make another half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. So 2 rounds below, half treble, and you can see that's just on the inside of this half treble from round 13. So the 2 half trebles go between the 2 half trebles from round 13 in that open space. After that, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then make a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Then make a single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. That should be the last stitch of the side. Then you can make your corner with a single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in the chain 2 space. Now let's look at a full side of round 14. We'll start with a single crochet in the back loop only of the first stitch of the side. Then a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. So here's my next stitch. 1 round below under the front loop only, make a double crochet. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 should land you right in the half treble from round 13. Now we're going to make another half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below. So here's my next stitch. Here's 1 round below and 2 rounds below. In that front loop only, I'll make a half treble. Then I'll make a single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. And now I'm going to make another half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below. Now, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, will land in this half treble from round 13. Now I'm going to make another half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below. So 1 round below, 2 rounds below. Under that front loop only, a half treble. Now a single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, just 1, and another half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below. So 1 round below, 2 rounds below. a half treble in the front loop only. Okay, again, those two half trebles went right on the inside of these two half trebles from round 13. Next, I'm going to make 5 single crochets in the back loop only. So 1, let me untangle my yarn. Okay, single crochet in the back loop only in the next 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 should land in the double crochet from round 13. Then I'm going to make a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch, double crochet, and then a single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. That should be the last stitch of the side, so you should be at your corner. You can make your usual single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the corner. And let's take a look at round 14, a full side. So we made our corner, and then we made a single crochet in the back loop only of the first stitch. Then we made a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Then 5 single crochets in the back loop only. Then we made a half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below, a single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, and then another half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. Then we sort of repeated that sequence. We did 5 single crochets in the back loop only, half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below, single crochet in the back loop only, half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below. Then we did 5 single crochets in the back loop only, a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below, and the very last stitch of the side was a single crochet in the back loop only of that last stitch. And then we had our next corner. So that's a full side of round 14. You can go ahead and do that again on the next 1 and 2 sides, and then I will meet up with you back here for the very last side of round 14. To finish up the last side of round 14, make your last corner in the chain 2 space, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. There we go. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, then double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. Back loop only 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oops, 5. 5 will be in that half treble from round 13. The next thing you do is half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. So here's the next stitch, 1 round below, 2 rounds below. Under that front loop only, half treble. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, and then half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. So 1, 2 rounds below, under the front loop only, half treble. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the last 2 stitches, and then slip stitch to both loops of the very first stitch. Pull that snug, and that is your round 14. For round 15, start with a chain 1, and then single crochet in the back loop only of the first 4 stitches. So under the back loop only, single crochet under the in the first 4 stitches. And 4 will land in the half treble from round 14. Your next stitch will be the single crochet that's between half trebles from round 14. You're going to make a treble into the front loop only of the stitch 3 rounds below. So yarn over twice, here's your next stitch, and count 1 round below, 2 rounds below, 3 rounds below is this front loop only right here. Or you can notice that that front loop only happens to be on the same level as the 2 half trebles from round 14 were made. So it's that stitch right between the 2 half trebles, and that's where you'll make a regular treble. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. Then double crochet in the back loop, in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. There should be 1 stitch left before your corner, single crochet in the back loop only of that stitch. In your corner, make your normal single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet again. Now we'll look at a full side of round 15. So to begin, single crochet in the back loop only of the very first stitch of the side, then double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. So that was a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below. Next, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 should land in the half treble from round 14. Your next stitch should be the single crochet that's between round 14 half trebles. You're going to make a treble into the front loop only of the stitch 3 rounds below the next stitch, which is also happens to be the front loop only of the stitch on the same level that the half trebles were made. So you can count 1, 2, 3, or you can just identify the one that's right between the bases of those half trebles and make your treble into that front loop only. Next, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then that should take you into the half treble from round 14. The next stitch should be the single crochet between round 14 half trebles. This is where we put our treble. So yarn over twice for a treble and count 1, 2, 3 rounds below. Under that front loop only, place your treble. Then single crochet in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. The 7th one should land in that double crochet from round 14. Now we're going to double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Double crochet. Should be 1 stitch left on the side, single crochet in the back loop only of that stitch. You should be at your corner, so make your regular single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, corner, and we'll take a look at what we did. So here is round 15, and you can see we have these cool little peaks created from our stitches. So here's what we did. We made our corner, and then we did a single crochet in the back loop only of the first stitch of the side. Then we did a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Then 7 single crochets in the back loop only. Then a treble, which went right between the round 14 trebles. The treble went into the front loop only of the stitch 3 rounds below. Then 7 single crochets in the back loop only. And then again a treble between half trebles from round 14. The treble went in the front loop only of the stitch 3 rounds below. 7 single crochets in the back loop only, a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below, and then the last stitch of the side was a single crochet in the back loop only, and then we had another corner to make. So that is a full side of round 15. Go ahead and make that again on the next 2 sides, and I will meet you back here and we'll finish up this last piece of round 15. To finish up round 15, we'll make our last corner. In that chain 2 space, we'll single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet like always. Next, we'll single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, and then double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch one round below the next stitch. Then we'll single crochet in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then we'll make a treble in the front loop only of the stitch 3 rounds below, right between those 2 half trebles from round 14. Our treble goes into the front loop only of the stitch 3 rounds below. Now all we need to do is single crochet in the back loop only of the last 3 stitches. 2 and 3. So our last stitch of round 15. Now we can slip stitch to both loops of the first single crochet, pull that nice and tight, and that is round 15. For round 16, we will finish up our square. Let's chain 1, and we're going to single crochet in both loops of each stitch across to the next corner. Single crochet in both loops. This is just going to give us a nice sturdy edge. It's good for joining later, and it wraps everything up and makes it look framed. So single crochet in both loops of each stitch across to your corner chain 2 space. Once you get to your corner chain 2 space, you'll make your usual single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet into the chain 2 space for your corner. Then all you have to do is single crochet in both loops of each stitch across the side to the next corner. And really that's all you do for this round. Just single crochet in both loops of each stitch across to the next corner, make your corner, and then do it again all the way around. When you get back to the first side, you just need to single crochet in both loops of each stitch across to your first stitch. Then you can slip stitch to both loops of the very first stitch to join round 16, and then you can fasten off. You're all done with our Stormy Weather square. And that's it. I really hope you enjoyed making this square, that you had fun doing some new stitches, and that you love what you made. Thank you so much for joining me, for joining the crochet along, and for watching. And I will see you for our next crochet along square. Thanks so much. Have fun crocheting.